Let's talk football, DJ. Thanks for hanging out with us for a little bit. Let's start with Sam Darnold because Brock and I have been sort of debating it and talking about it throughout the week. The first 59 minutes of what we saw was, as good as I can remember. And then we'll get to the last minute. But what are we seeing right now in general with Sam Darnold?
I think he's been awesome to the point where I think if you did a MVP poll, I think he's in the top 5 at this point in time with what he's done this year. And I was talking to somebody about this on the phone the other day. I said, look, if this is where he is right now in his introduction into this offense, and they've got some young pieces, they've got the nucleus of a good offensive line going forward. It's not out of the realm to think like, okay, maybe a year from now, year 2, with already as good as it looks right now, that he could win an MVP. And that's how I feel about him. And then so the conversation was, has there ever been a draft class where you've had 4 quarterbacks win MVPs? Because you've already got Josh, you've already got Lamar in that class. Baker's probably the front runner right now as we're only 5 weeks in. And Sam's played good enough to be in that conversation. Worst case, you're going to have 4 quarterbacks in the same draft class with a top 5 MVP finish if it holds as it looks right now. So I've been very happy with Sam.
Is that sustainable? Is that something you would expect to continue for the next 11 games?
I don't. His thing is interesting because you've got the ardent supporters, but then you've got everybody who's just like they've got all these things saved in their drafts, whether it's text messages or tweets, and just waiting for the first crack so that they can go, yep, there he is. That's a Sam Darnold moment. That's who Sam Darnold is, and I'm right and you're wrong. And it's the same reason why people were willing to ignore 16 weeks worth of data last year to point out the 2 games at the end of the year. It's that's really who he is. Or there's enough evidence now. And Brock, you can give me your thoughts, and I'd love to hear it. But like I'm watching these teams every week and going through tape every week. I don't know, especially with Joe Burrow on the shelf, if anybody's processing as fast as Sam is processing right now, like continually getting to 3 and 4 quickly. I think he's seeing the field really, really well.
Yeah, I think it'd be the only guy with him right there in that regard would be, well, obviously Josh is in his own class, but the guy he played against. You realize, DJ, I think when the old internet went kaboot and you melted down on us on Tuesday in our 1 minute, I think I teed up the question that Sam and Baker played a game never seen before in NFL history, completing 80+% of their passes, 320+ yards between those 2 guys. Had never been done between 2 different. What if Sam is doing all of that? How is Baker right now the front runner for the MVP?
Well, I think what Baker's doing, and he's been really, really good late game moments. And if just watching both offenses in that, which were exceptional, and both quarterbacks played exceptionally well. I think where Tampa's offensive line is at right now is really, really impressive. I thought Sam had to navigate a little more trouble than Baker did, but Baker's, his confidence is sky high. He's extending things, making some things happen when he has to. In previous weeks, you can look at some of the huge plays he's made late in games. And the other thing is, I think, to have a quarterback playing at that level, you have to really, really have trust in your guys. And JSN's been awesome for Sam. And then Ibuka to come in as a rookie and literally be the best player, that he's got at his disposal with what they have there has been pretty incredible. And he's letting it rip. Early. Just not any question that Ibuka is going to be where he needs to be and letting it rip.
You bring up how he's been at the end of games, and obviously that's a huge part of it. Just looking at the 5 games the Seahawks have played. First game, they lose to San Francisco. Sam has a chance in the final drive. Fumbles. You remember the play where where Bosa kind of backed the right tackle into him. Second game, Pittsburgh, they win going away. Third game, New Orleans, they win going away. Fourth game, Arizona. Sam is perfect in the clutch, drives them down the field, and they end up beating Arizona on a tremendous drive by Sam. And then obviously they have the opportunity on Sunday, and you get the pick, which just comes at a spot in the field where the game is almost immediately over. So 1 and 2 in his 3 opportunities in the clutch. How do I balance that in? How do I fold that in to the full picture of who Sam Darnold is right now?
Yeah, I don't want to be an excuse maker because it is what it is, but you described it eloquently. Bosa got chucked into his lap where he doesn't see him, so I don't know. It's hard to fault him on that one. And then, as we talk about every week, I'm just watching the tape, so I don't see the TV copy. The last one, the pick at the end of the game, did that hit a helmet? It looked like it skipped off of a helmet from the end zone copy.
It did. So here's the other side of it, because I think those are all, I mean, sure, you can always play that game on every pick, on every fumble. But isn't it somewhat on the quarterback to understand the pocket and feel the rush on the first one? He himself said that he needed to change the protection scheme on the one on Sunday against Tampa. I mean, he almost had a pick on the previous drive, right? The ball gets tipped up in the air and nearly was picked in the end zone for a pick six. I don't know. Those I have so much emphasis on what quarterbacks do at the ends of games that as great as he's been, and he's been phenomenal. I love it. It's really hard for me to jump in with both feet because that's what you get judged on. How do you handle the end-of-game situations?
Yeah, I get that. I don't know. I just when I've watched those games, I've never thought this is someone who looked panicked, who looked like it was too big for him, who looked like he was trying to play outside of himself. I mean, I just didn't get that vibe at all. It almost, to me, feels like you hire a financial advisor who gets you a 30% return in the first three quarters, and he loses 1% in the fourth quarter. You go, wow, this financial advisor sucks. I've only made 29% on my money. Like I think on the whole, it's so outweighed everything that that goes beyond what you saw on two hand-picked plays.
Bigger surprise that Sam Darnold is in the conversations you're talking about, or that JSN is in the conversations of being the best receiver in the game?
I think coming off of last year with Sam, I could have thought, okay, if this offensive line comes together in Seattle, like I think he could continue to play at a high level. Now, he's exceeded that for me. He's played even better than that. But JSN, I don't think, if you told me who were going to be the top 5 to 10 receivers coming back in the National Football League, he wouldn't have been in that thought process for me. And now you look up and you're like, okay, he's like with the way he's played is like a top 3 to 5 guy for, I don't know, anybody would disagree with.
He's got more explosive plays. He's got double-digit 10 explosive plays of 20-plus yards, whereas teams, Jacksonville and one of them, doesn't even have double digits as a team. I mean, he is. We always knew he'd be a great slot guy, right? We talked about him on Ross St. Brown last year, and man, he has been that. But he's also been a downfield threat in ways, DJ, that I would have never anticipated. So how's he doing it?
Yeah, he's winning outside consistently, which has been fun to watch. I'm going back through some of my notes from this last week. Like the stuff, like he might be the best slant route runner in the NFL right now, just with all the different ways that he can win and do it. You see it when guys are off. He's kind of got that AJ, I call it like the AJ Brown, where you'll see him on a slant. He just kind of give you a 2-hand shove, but it's so short and quick that you don't see it, so he can win with physicality there. And then he'll hit you with a one-step slant, and he's just won immediately. And then he can also show you some savvy where he can lean on you in your stem, get you to widen out, and then cross your face. Like, just that's one route, one example of a guy who can win a lot of different ways. And then we knew, because of his work in the slot previously, how much toughness he had to work in the middle of the field. So I don't know. There's not many guys doing everything that he can do. So it's been very impressive. The other thing is watching that game. The guy who's might be in the conversation or close to him is the rookie. Ibuka's been awesome.
Incredible.
What's going on with Geno Smith?
Oh boy,
they're not very good.
They're not very good.
They're not very good. I don't think they run the ball well. There's nothing efficient about it, and Geno just looks older to me. He looks like there's just some twitch that's not there, and he doesn't look comfortable at all. So, and I mean, he's not throwing to Michael Irvin and Jerry Rice out there, but he still does not look comfortable at all.
He has 9 picks.
I was there for the Charger game and saw him just
9
forcing things, and
DJ.
there's a lot of
DJ. He's thrown the ball to the other team 9 times in 5
Trust
games.
me, there's like the
9.
Here's a real current reference for you, like the Jets and the Sharks. There's the Sam Darnold and there's the Geno fan clubs, and there's not a lot of crossover in those. So we've had it's been a good month for the Darnold camp.
Sorry.
Is this not?
Yeah, exactly.
Just doing a little West Side Story snapping for you. It's a little riff right at the beginning.
I mean, that's why people love this segment. You get shaving stories,
Yep.
West Side Story. I mean, just everybody tunes in for this.
Is this going to end poorly for Pete and Bill?
I don't know that there's a lot of evidence to suggest otherwise.
Yeah.
It's such a bummer. It's such
It
a
is.
bummer. I mean, those two guys are such a huge portion, first of all, just of my life, but of anyone our age. I mean, what those two guys did, two of the 5 preeminent coaches of their generation. I don't know who else you'd put in there. Andy Reid would probably be in there, and probably a couple other guys as well. But it's really hard to tell the story of the NFL without those two. And if you go to college, Pete's obviously a big part of it, and then you add in Saban and a few other guys. But to see it end like this, I mean, both of them are just, especially Bill. What's happening in North Carolina is like, it's really sort of hard to fathom.
Yeah, I think they're different. I think that Bill's thing is he went into a completely different sport. It's just apples to oranges, and not just in terms of how the play on the field is and how different it is with offense and hash marks and everything else, but just in terms of recruiting and portal, like all that's such a new world to him. Not to mention trying to relate to 18, 19-year-old kids. Like that's not something he has any.
Careful.
I think he's relating.
Oh, wow.
Depends on the kid. He seems to be relating okay.
Jeez. Wow.
Oh, I mean,
I walked right into that one.
yeah. I mean, you led a horse to water and then asked it not to drink. I mean, come on, man.
Goodness gracious. Oh, man. Don't clip that off. I don't need to get in any
we
trouble.
don't need to do that.
So that one's different. With Pete, you know, I don't know. It's just not. I don't think it's just not a very full cupboard there. And with his age, it felt like it was like, okay, we need to try and make this happen now. Whereas I think the better approach would have been where's our windows, as we always talk about. And to me, the window is off into the future. So this is an establishing year. Let's get young. Let's play young guys. It's not really let's try and assemble some veterans and go try and sneak into the playoffs this year. I think that is the wrong approach there. And so that one's kind of awkward. But I will say about those two guys. You know, you talk about the impact that they had, but if you looked at, you know, the impact on the enthusiasm of coaches in, you know, college and the NFL, Pete had a major impact on that. You can see that his fingerprints all over a lot of coaches in both the professional and college ranks. And then Belichick's emphasis, and because I think it was also when we were able to start documenting a lot of this stuff with some of the NFL films things, the situational awareness. Obviously, the one you're familiar with the Malcolm Butler, like all that situational awareness that Belichick was so good at. I think that has carried all throughout both the professional and college ranks. So their impact is definitely something that can't be denied, but it's not ending great.
So DJ, you got into the NFL. Your first job was what year?
2003.
2003. When you were as a scout and you're in the NFL and you're in Baltimore and Philly, the organizations you're in, do you remember? I'm trying to remember back as a player in the late 90s, the early 2000s. I was trying to remember, were teams as beat up then as they are now? Do guys miss practice? I was thinking back to my Indy days. I don't remember. We'd have an injury here or there, but 7, 8 guys and 5 starters for the Seahawks on defense yesterday missing practice like they did the week before. Chargers, I mean, you've lost guys for the entire season already, some of your very, very best players. Do you remember it being this bad, this beat up, week 5, 6 of a season 20 years ago?
Well, for the 3 organizations I worked for, I would say no on Philly and Baltimore. Cleveland was amazing. I mean, we had Braylon Edwards got hurt running barefoot. So when Dante Stallworth stepped on his heel, so like that was a cursed organization that found interesting ways to get a lot of guys hurt. I think Gary Baxter ruptured like both of his patellas on the same play.
Wow. It's cool that they fixed it though. Now they're in good shape.
Yeah, exactly. No, they've got beyond that. I you know what? I think it's 2 things. I think one of it is the changes in the CBA and how they've limited what you can do in terms of practices. And I think some of that physicality kind of, I'm not a doctor, but it felt like those guys were calloused a little bit more and handled it a little bit better. And the other thing is, I think some of it is the NBA load management thing, and it's a 17-game season, and I think kids have kind of grown up with that. Whereas, think about, Brock, when you were in college, like you lost a regular season game, and you might be out of the conference championship. You cost yourself a Rose Bowl. Like there was such consequences for losing a game in college. And now there's a stinking 12-team playoff. There's, you're trying to. People are more concerned about preserving themselves for the next level as well. There's not such an emphasis on whatever you got to do, get the game that you got to be out there. You got to play each and every week. There's not that same emphasis anymore.
It's almost like, can we get to December in the NFL?
Yeah.
And it feels like it's a war of attrition in which roster's going to have the most starters in December and obviously into a playoff run. And just, it feels different. Hey,
isn't it in all sports, though? Isn't it in every sport? I mean, I watch the Dodgers.
Yes.
When I'm watching their playoff games, every stat that they put out, like this starting pitcher, he threw 80 innings. Snell threw 60 innings. Like they didn't even really play half these guys during the regular
load
season.
management in the NBA, and I mean, like that is we've talked about this a million times on this show. One of the great debates inside of sports, not necessarily for sports radio, is now versus the future. How much do you play for this moment right now versus for the long term? And I mean, nothing does that more than baseball, right? You can't pitch a pitcher 9 innings a day and use your reliever every day. You've got to be thinking about the whole long season. The NBA finally figured it out, and it does seem like the NFL has figured it out. And it's interesting as they're figuring it out that way, they're going the other way on fourth downs, which somewhat have the same calculus of like, do I want to play for this second or for 5 minutes from now, right? And so, I don't know. I always see that as one of the big debates in sports.
To get right back to the original question, though, about guys missing time, don't you think if we look at all of these sports where we're talking about this being an issue, the NBA greatly expanded the playoffs. The MLB added a wild card team. The NFL added a wild card team. I think and now we have college football. We've got 12-team playoff. Like, I think it's a direct correlation to them expanding the field. It used to be so much harder to get into the tournament that you would have to play guys and you couldn't miss games, and that's no longer the case.
Yeah, I mean, it's post hoc, non ergo proctor hoc.
Sure.
DJ's not a Latin guy. Don't worry about that, Brock.
I went to Appalachian State. Do you not have a bio on me?
Hey, I do want to get this in. We have seen a bunch of trades. Adam Schefter said there are going to be some marquee trades before the trade deadline. I texted you before the segment. There have already been some, and you're right. They're just kind of secondary stuff. It's not a big swing. How well do you understand the salary cap, DJ? Do you know these contracts and numbers decently well?
I would say I would give myself a C- on that.
Okay, C-. Don't know Latin, hardly know the salary cap.
Yeah, really not a lot of value.
Trey Hendrickson's got his deal ripped up. Trey Hendrickson's got a base salary of $16 million. He's got a restructured bonus of $13 million. So he's got $29 million in cash he's making. I asked this because if we saw with Seattle with no D-Law and no Derek Hall, that game changed. The defense changed quite a bit. If he's due $29 million in cash this year, 16 in base and 13 in that restructured, if you were to trade for him, does that restructured bonus a part of it, or are you trading for the base salary of it?
Oh, that's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah, I think to me it'll be interesting to see what would happen on something like that in terms of the money that's eaten. Are you Cincinnati? If you've already budgeted this money, can you then eat a decent chunk of it and then try and get a better draft pick?
Right.
That doesn't sound like the Cincinnati I know.
No, but I mean, if you're looking towards the future and trying to maximize the Joe Burrow
doesn't sound like
experience,
that. Yeah.
Right.
I think a smart organization would look at it that way and say,
well, that again does not sound like the Cincinnati that I know.
So let's just play this game, because every time I say
really
Trey
are.
Hendrickson, Salk starts to salivate like Pavlov's dogs. You probably didn't learn. It was a psychological experiment.
That's Psych 51.
Don't worry about that either. That wasn't Appalachian
I do know
State.
that one. Yeah.
You do know that one?
Ding, ding. Yeah.
Yep. There we go. So Salk, I mentioned the name, and it's ding, ding, ding. He's all in, whatever, doesn't matter. Because there is a need. And I think this defense is different when their front is different. What do you think of Trey Hendrickson? Do you see a Trey Hendrickson move before the trade deadline?
Again, it makes logical sense. Especially, we'll see what happens over the next few weeks if Joe Flacco can resurrect their season. Have my doubts there. So if this continues down the path that it was on, then I think they'd be crazy not to move him. He's not going to be part of their long-term future there. Right. And they have such an issue along the offensive line. And this gives you an asset for that going forward from the Cincinnati side of things. And then from the Seattle side of things, this is, we talk about it at the window. This is a team that's capable of emerging from that conference. So being bold, this is probably a good opportunity to do that.
I got to ask you about Jacksonville and specifically about Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. Would you like me to ask it the tactful way or the way I actually want to ask it?
You can do it the way you want to ask it. I think you're going to do that either way, but
No, I would have been happy to be tactful. I get it. You've got other, I'm happy to be tactful.
No, we traded spaces earlier. Let me ask it the way Salk wants to ask it. The tactful way would be to question his football acumen and processing. The way he's going to ask it is Trevor Lawrence dumb?
That's exactly the two ways I would have phrased it.
Thank you.
That's tough. All right, so I mean, we did a show that right after that game, and Rhett Lewis said on the show he thought that was like the Josh Allen type drive for Trevor Lawrence at the end of the game, and I said I didn't see it that way. I saw you saw the delay game penalty, fall on the ground twice, get up and score, like it, and just even I hate doing this, but like even like you're watching that game on TV and you see the close-ups. He just looked kind of wide-eyed and it looked big, which is so crazy because he played in such big stages in college.
And the nose looked big when he had his finger inside of it. That wasn't ideal either.
It's a tough look. But if you're gonna leave a game with a couple picks, I'd rather have it be your nose. But to me, it looked kind of big. This has been one for
the ages. This has been a good one. This has been.
I'm sorry we have to go. I could spend like another 10 minutes on this. DJ, we do have to run. Thank you, as always. It was great to catch up with you, and it was fun to do it on Thursday.
I don't know if there's any value add today, guys.
I don't know. I would disagree.
If he would have eaten a booger, would he ever have been able to perform again?
Sark is still coaching?
We'll talk about that next week.
All right. Yeah, DJ, we'll talk about that. In fact, we'll lead with that next week. Thank you. Talk to you next week.